She now is a dining expert, as well as your favorite chiropractic person. She is right there at 2001 Larkin Avenue. Her phone number is 847-888-9988. And Dr. Claire was getting all gussied up before that big event you saw on March 10 and 11.
Yeah.
She's gussied up right at Studio One, just a couple days before that. So she's always in wonderful shape. She's got the good genes, like you would say.
She does have good genes. Plus, she was a ballet dancer, took ballet for like 40 years.
Yeah,
I mean, you could tell by the way she moves and everything.
She's only 42, so she's taken.
Since she was 2.
Yeah, since 847.
They start them early. Go
That's
ahead.
right.
847.
888-9988. That's Dr. Claire Oleas. On the 2.5 Men's been in the news lately, and Scrabble comes up because they made the Alan character is addicted to Scrabble. His character in the show, the John Cryer character.
Okay.
And he can't. When he plays Scrabble, he plays it for keeps. So it's a fun segment when it is involved on the other characters. So Scrabble is kind of in the popular phrase of a sitcom, I guess.
Yeah. And we'd also like to give a big thanks to Snob Hounds and Casey Toole, weekly sponsors of ours, without whom our show would not be possible. You're listening to the Lori Dion-Jones Show on WRMN, 1410 AM. And now back to our special guests, Diana Ortega-Erith and Sarah Burrows, both of Elgin currently. If either one of you can answer, or Jeff or Mikey or whatever, but if you had to do it over, what would you do? If you had to do things over in your life, what would the one thing you would do over?
Good
Any
question.
ideas? I wish I knew when I was younger what I know now about losing weight, maintaining weight, the importance of daily cardio, the importance of fitness, the importance of maintaining a healthy weight, and the importance of finding and being on a diet that's right for you. That is one of the things that I seriously and sincerely wish that I had known more about when I was younger.
Well said.
Honestly, the biggest thing that I would probably do differently would be managing my money differently.
Oh, God, do you have a point there?
I got a little bit too happy with my credit cards when I first got them right out of college. And I ended up paying for them for a long time. And
But you're okay now, aren't you?
I'm okay now, yeah. But it I would be in a different place, I think. And
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, that's
what do you
the
do
one
with
thing.
what do I do with all those designer bags that I have and all that money I splurged? I mean, my mother would say, save it for a rainy day. You never know, Bobby, when the rainy days is coming. And of course, I didn't save for the rainy day, and now it's pouring.
Was your mom Zsa Zsa Gabor?
No, she was.
Was that? Let's hear that accent again.
No,
it was
I
good.
can't do it again. You're gonna make fun of me.
Where was she from?
Where was she?
Italy.
Okay.
Oh, that's why she was. That's delightful. Do that accent one more time. That
No,
was
it'll come up again.
Okay.
You should hear me. I do a mean Rosanna Dana.
well, I wish we had.
If she ever shows herself at this studio, you guys will be weeping with laughter.
All right.
Trust
Mark
me
that
on
on the
this
calendar.
one.
All right.
We gotta force that one to happen.
You will be just weeping your eyeballs out. So listen, Sarah, if you had to do something over, what would you do?
Gosh, I guess I would try not to feel so much pressure in my 20s to have my life completely sorted out and decided and, get married. Everyone gets married and whatever, and I felt like I was on that path despite my academic achievements. Personally, I felt just like I just had to go with the flow. And
That's all good advice, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Be not so happy with your credit cards. Boy, could we relate to that. And what Sarah says about when she was younger. Do each of you wish you had known as teenagers? Would it be about the same thing? Me? I'll start while you guys think. I wish there was a program like YLA. I wish I had mentors. I wish I had, I'm going to get emotional. I wish I had people who were in my corner who said, look, you don't have the money, you can get a scholarship, you're real smart, you can work your way through college, there's other possibilities, there's other avenues for you. I didn't have that. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I wish that somebody had sat me down as a teenager and said, here's the facts of life. Things that I tell my 8 kids at YLA on Saturdays. Not that they need to hear it from me, but certain things come up. So that's one of the main things that I wish that I had known as a teenager, that there were other avenues and the possibilities that were open to me.
You bring up a lot of good points, but when I was a kid, I would not have taken anyone's help. I was rebellious. Do not tell me what to do to how to do it. It's me and my life. I will rebel against anything you tell me to do. And I'm sorry to say that's what I was. And I look back and see what I would have changed. The only thing I can think of changing is I would have never picked up a cigarette and smoked.
Yep.
Other than that, I don't think I could have changed my life because it was the person who I was at the time. Although I can see it now, it would have been a great idea. And if I would have had a child of my own right now, I would have said, this is how I want you to do it. But there's no one going to tell me how to live my life when I'm 15 years old, even when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
I am who I am. I'm who I'm, and of course I'm immortal at that time. I don't see myself
Aren't
being 40
all?
or 50. I'm 10.
Aren't they all?
I
You
bounce
know
off a wall.
everything.
Absolutely. So it's got to be tough for YLA to get to reach those people who are just rebellious.
It's a fine balance. You're absolutely right. The teenager's job, and I talk about this with our trainers all the time, the teenager's job is to push the boundaries. They want to know, where's the limit? How far on this can I push you? That's their job. That's the mentality. That's the angst of the, it's not so much of an angst, but that's they're searching for an identity and what difference is this really going to make for me? And do you really mean it? And so we talk about boundaries a lot, and it's okay to set a boundary. I think sometimes mentors get pushed a lot in wanting to either make excuses or extend the boundaries for the young person, and sometimes that's okay, and sometimes it's not, for the reasons that you were stating earlier. But that's the job of the teenager, and frankly, I mean, to be completely honest, I remember also pushing those boundaries when I was a teenager, and sometimes just flat out breaking them.
Yeah. Who am I kidding?
Right.
I forgot how I was too.
So,
Like, you can't tell us anything.
and some of that, honestly, developmentally is healthy, because then they find out what the consequences are, and so I think the job of a good mentoring community is to provide a safe environment for them to push those boundaries,
Sure.
and then realize what the consequences are, because the consequences of breaking boundaries when you get older are more severe. So if you don't understand consequences, by the time you graduate from high school, you're going to have a really rough time in college or in your 20s.
In your life.
In your life,
And
period.
still, yeah, in your
Period.
30s.
So,
With my kids at YLA, they know what the boundaries are from the giddy up with me, but then also I always let them know the sky's the limit as far as their development personally. So,
right. It's an art form.
it's an art form,
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah.
I think it comes natural to me, though. I don't know. I'm
It
real
does.
good with kids.
That's good. So that's good. Not everybody is. So I take that as a huge gift.
Let's talk about personal self-esteem and how important it is for girls in particular. How do you think we can help build self-esteem in girls and young women? What's the best way, do you think, to start with that?
Role modeling. I think role modeling is a big one. When you were talking about what would I do different, is I got to think, I would have, I wish somebody would have told me that you don't have to do this to be cool,
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think your society, your peer influence is very, very great as a teenager, and it matters who you hang out with, and it matters who you look up to. And if you don't have positive role models for girls, self-esteem, that's a really big deal. Somebody who says, you know what, I think you're a very strong, intelligent, confident woman, and you should go for it. Having somebody encourage you in that way and tell you you don't have to go out and do all these things, either with alcohol at
Smoking.
parties or smoking or with boys or whatever, to get attention and to
Be cool.
build, and to be cool and to make yourself feel better. Because, at the bottom line is all that is kind of destructive behavior. It's a lie. It's attention grabbing for yourself, but at the end of the day you go home and you really don't feel so great about yourself after all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the kind of thing that you don't really realize until after you've done it.
And
Yeah,
you're
right.
away
You
from
think
it.
by doing that people will like you, or
Exactly.
you're doing it to gain acceptance, but it doesn't work that way. All you're doing is it to yourself. You're not changing those people's opinions of you, and really, to not, teenagers need to learn to care much less about what other teenagers think about them.
Isn't
Because
that
that
the
peer
truth?
pressure is so strong.
There's one thing I do want to have to thank my parents for is that they didn't buy into the peer pressure then, because we had this girl named Judy Kabita in school, and Judy Kabita's mother was divorced, and she was a cocktail waitress, and so she had a lot of money in tips. And Judy Kabita this, and Judy Kabita that. And Judy Kabita has matching sweaters and skirts and handbags, and Judy Kabita came with the newest Sassoon haircut. And my mother says, "You want to live like Judy Kabita? Then you go ask Judy Kabita's mother if you can move in. Because in this house, this is how we do it." So I do have my parents to thank for that. And because we didn't have a lot of money, and you do have peer pressure, and you do want to be accepted, and you do want to look your best, and I was always the chubbiest one, to boost self-esteem for me was to always try to look my best. I had a size 8 Vogue magazine mentality, and I was a chubster. And I had to take nothing. I had to take hand-me-downs or whatever clothes that I had, and I had to turn them into something that was Judy Kabita worthy. Do you know what I mean? And I think that that's one of the ways that developed my clothing design abilities and things of my individualism as it is today. And that's one thing I like about the YLA kids, is each one of them is an individual, and I really stress that with them to maximize that in their life. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And, you know, YLA cadets are exceptional, but that's not to say that there's probably not some peer pressure going on there as well. I think that it's a cultural thing that is really hard to get out of. And mentors and parents have to be really intentional to remind young people that this is all part of a big image that is not real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and girls start, you know, developing and realizing that they have to meet some standard of what beauty is and what pretty is, or what attracts, you know, the person you want to attract.
Mm-hmm.
And statistically speaking, I was just reading up on it. Self-esteem peaks at age 9, and then it tanks, because that's when the body starts changing. And so it's having to be really intentional to remind them your body's doing okay. And
But do you think peer pressure helps it tank? Peer pressure, what the kids like, who are the Judy Kabitas in the class, or who not Judy was not a mean girl, but sometimes you have a group of mean girls in the class, and do you think that that also contributes to the, as you say, tanking of self-esteem?
absolutely.
Is there a 9-year-old self-realization thing going on? Maybe you don't know who you are or why you're here until you're about 9 years old. You're thinking, wait a minute, I want him to notice me now, and all of a sudden you realize you have a self-realization that there's more to what he wants in life than just what I can see for myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that. I think it's peer pressure at school. I think it's stuff that's on television. My 5-year-old
yeah.
watches Disney Channel. Okay, no knock to Disney, but there are some things on iCarly and Hannah Montana. I mean, these shows that I think, really, wow. You know, that they're
Holy
talking
smoke
about,
is what I think.
Holy smokes is right. You know, sort of picking on, making fun a little bit of what they're wearing, and it's not the point of the show. I mean, ultimately the show has a really good message at the end, but in the meantime, it sends out some very confusing messages, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I can't relate to those shows. I've seen just a little Hannah Montana, but I kind of get what you're talking
Well,
about.
there's a version of that for every generation, I think, and
True.
that's just this current generation's role model that sends out very confusing messages.
Saved by the Bell, Brady Bunch, all the above. Yeah.
Even the videos, the MTV videos. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The music videos.
Although there's not many MTV videos in the modern day. They're more reality shows on that channel.
Back in the day when they actually put out videos.
There's no videos anymore.
Right.
I remember one time we went to my sister-in-law's house, and she had some little kids, 4 and 5 years old, and they were playing some of those, you know, channels on the TV, the videos, and they were dancing around, and I was looking at these kids, and they were like pole dancers with no clue to what they were doing. And this was when Madonna first came out with, you know, all of her like lingerie as outerwear, and she really turned the tide, I think, with our culture and self-esteem and peer pressure. I think that was a big contribution to her, and now it's Lady Gaga, who I personally think she's fabulous, but because she just put, well, you don't understand her.
I just rolled my eyes.
But she's Italiano.
Yeah, I don't understand her. You're right.
Okay.
Hey, do you know what Judy Kabita is doing these days?
Yeah.
Have you kept
Oh,
up on
did
her?
you tell me you Googled her?
Yeah.
No, I did.
Okay.
I'm asking you. Have you kept,
I have
you
no
don't-
idea. She may not even be with us anymore on
That's
this
what I'm asking. You
planet.
don't know
Not a clue.
how
And
she turned out either. So.
not a clue.
But can we label this the Judy Kabita Show?
The Judy Kabita Hour?
Episode 73, the
I
Judy
would do
Kabita
some
Show.
research and I'll see if we
Yeah.
can get her on there as a guest or something.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh my gosh.
So what'd you do with all those matching outfits when we were in school? And how well did they serve you as you got older?
Right, right.
There was a Judy Kabita version at my school growing up. She would come up to me every morning by the lockers, hanging up our coats before class started, and she said, "My pants are $50. My shirt is $50.
Oh, shut
My
up.
shoes are $50. I'm wearing $150 worth of clothes today. How about you?"
Nice.
That's tough.
Nice.
I kept
What
up
is she
$50
doing
in my
today?
wallet. Is what I did.
I don't
See, you're
know.
the smart one.
Yeah.
When I went to high school, we had uniforms.
Oh my.
And that's a lot of debates about, uniforms good, uniforms bad, but they definitely help level the playing field in that whole kind of clothes and style war. And it can't, girls could still do earrings, and there was always the girls who pushed the limits, right, and would hem the skirts as high as they dare and wear crazy socks or whatever. And then there were the girls that, stuck to the uniform like me, who didn't dare disobey
Oh,
anybody.
you didn't deviate in one hair, like
No
wear
way.
little,
I was so
little poodle
afraid of getting in
pin
trouble
or anything like
so
that?
afraid of getting in trouble for anything.
I
You
would
must
have
have done something. It has to be something. A barrette in your hair.
Well, that was
Headband.
allowed.
You
That
know,
was
I don't
allowed.
know.
No, I really was not a rule breaker.
Really?
Oh, we would have corrupted you real fast in my school. We had uniforms in grammar school,
I was
and
one of the goody two-shoes.
oh please.
You take the tips of your shoelaces pink or something. Shh, don't tell
Yeah.
anybody.
Well, I would take the bus to school with my friend Rachel. She was one of the ones that always pushed, and she would really stress me out.
Okay.
She'd show up with like pink socks and 7 layers and like pink in her hair or whatever. I'm like, Rachel, you're gonna get us in trouble, And she did not care. She was just like,
Bless
bring
her
it
heart.
on.
Girl after my own
Give me
heart.
another detention. I'll be in detention for the next 3 years. I don't care.
But I look good.
Yeah, and where she is now, she is a successful business owner in
Entrepreneur.
Rehoboth Beach, and she owns a kite shop. She created a kite shop,
Look
and
at
she
that.
has like
Yeah,
2 or
right?
3 of them.
That's fascinating.
And
Wow.
she
Colorful kites.
recently got married and very recently had a baby at age 40, and she did things on her own time.
God bless her
Right,
heart.
right.
Yippee. We like those kind of people.
Yeah.
Is that in Pittsburgh? Is that where you grew up?
Yes.
All the way.
Yeah.
So you just like the Packers too?
Oh yeah.
Well, she thought about it though.
Well.
There's not that much tie-in with them really, but she thought it.
I have to add, for those of you who don't know the Pittsburgh area, 1 hour away from
Yes.
you,
One
okay,
time difference.
is a place called Ohio Pile, Pennsylvania, and it is the home of Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, his second famous home, Kentuck Knob, and it is, we had just the incredible pleasure of spending 4 days there 2 summers ago when it was 1,000 degrees out, and there's a place called Cucumber Falls where you can hike down this path, and you could be underneath the falls, you could be on top of the falls. Ohio Pile is almost better than going to Colorado. It's not the air trip or the 22-hour drive. It doesn't have the altitude. It's not the air flight to Alaska. It's a cross between Alaska and Colorado. They have rock climbing. They have class 1 to 5 rapids. You can go canoeing, kayaking, river rafting, fly fishing, hiking the Greater Conservancy Trail running from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., where they used to ride the documents back and forth. They have a Civil War battle. The most fabulous places, I think, for us in the Midwest to go for a total getaway. You don't know if you're in Alaska, you don't know if you're in Colorado. It's just an incredible area.
Wow.
And that was brought to you by
That was a
Radio
Chamber of
Tourism
Commerce. Also for
from Ohio Pile, Pennsylvania.
for Pittsburgh, they are the only KDKA is the only K radio station east of the Mississippi because they grandfathered the law. It's the first radio station to announce the presidential election results, so it's one of the long-running radio stations. They got a KDKA before the rules came up that, hey, wait a minute, You are east of the Mississippi. You're a W.
Why did they do that? I
Well,
never understood
to split
that.
the country. Split the country. Give it some. In the east, you're a W. In the west, you're a K. It's
I've got K,
UHF,
W, well,
BHF.
you know, why not A and why not Alpha and
had
Omega?
to start somewhere, didn't we? But that is your
What does
KDK.
K have to do with W?
I know W is westward. You're broadcasting westward. Anyone east of the Mississippi is broadcasting westward. Why that's not E, I have no idea. I'm sure there's some sort
That's
of
where I'm
FCC
getting at.
rule.
So in 1932,
I'll look
with the whatever we
Would you?
called it then.
I'm just curious. And with all Jeff's statistics on everything all the time, and his his knowledge, his infinite knowledge, wisdom, would he be good at Scrabble?
Your
He's
knowledge
shaking
is,
his head no.
well, stats and knowledge is not word. But like you say, they
Yeah.
have to memorize the encyclopedia, the dictionary. They look at every words all the time. They're playing all the time. So
You have
stats.
some knowledge. That's
I
incredible.
can see stats real easy, but not wordage is easy. So it's a different science, really, I think.
So listen, you're listening to the Laura Dion-Jones Show on WRMN 1410 AM, and we're going to switch gears a little after we wrap the self-esteem issue up. So the bottom line, do you think to teach kids self-esteem is number one, good role modeling?
Good role modeling, and to really think about who it is that you look up to.
Sarah?
Yeah, I would say good mentorship from someone who's not a parent, and I think often the teenager would be more comfortable talking to someone who's not a parent and being available to that teenager. So you can, there's a difference of just being there, but being available too.
Good advice. I do sometimes a thing called Tasty Topics, which is one of
Yum.
my favorite things. And let me pick a good one here. Let me close my eyes and run my finger down the page. Okay, there. What do you like best about your job? I think we already covered that. Isn't that funny? The mentoring of the kids, the working with the kids,
Well, I'll pick something really specific. I love a lot of things about my job, but one thing in particular is I love writing letters of recommendation for our kids when they want to do something like attend a regional leadership conference or apply to another school or apply for another scholarship. I love writing things for somebody else that speaks well of them, and I can honestly say this young person has already made a commitment to this organization for 6 years.
stepped up to the plate every time we asked them to.
They're trustworthy. They have shown me that they're a leader. They have experience. You can count on this person. That's really one of my most favorite things that I get to do.
And you, Miss Sarah?
I really like to, when I'm able to put together a plan, an action plan, and then be able to see it through. And just, they say, okay, Sarah, this is your ball, you run with it, and whether it's, it's training sales on a new application for this instrument, get them excited and get them, out and into the field and ready to sell it. I like sharing that knowledge.
Diana, what historical figure do you most identify with? Be thinking about this, Sarah.
Yeah.
Mikey, I've never asked you this, and neither have I asked Jeff.
Okay.
Nor
Them
Valerie the
first.
Swan. You first? You
No,
got
them
one?
first.
Oh, them first. Okay. Who wants to go first?
Yes, of course.
I'm a Gemini, so I
Yes.
have too many. I have multiple personalities. I have many. Today it's Georgia O'Keeffe for me.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
she's one of my historical figures that I identify with. Her whole persona, her artistic, her everything.
I identify differently. I would say I more look up to the historical figures of Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, and Leo Tolstoy.
No kidding.
Because that's the line going down for nonviolence. Because I really believe in nonviolence, and I think the question of who would you have lunch with if you could, the
Mhm.
person who's dead or alive.
That was my next question.
That
Thank
really?
you. Mhm, thank you for bringing that up.
Those are the people I would love to talk with most.
And Sarah?
Oh,
Jeff?
no, guess. We're here all the time. This
Mickey
is-
Mantle? Jeff's Mickey Mantle?
Oh, it would be some like historical like that, even a John Kennedy, because you realize the history, the moments in history, and how intriguing that must have been in that time frame.
I would have said John Kennedy too, because the way he could talk to an audience and everyone would just listen.
Yeah, she would say something like this, Lindy, say this, and you would listen. The teeth would clench. I, of course, would like to say I'm not from New England necessarily.
What was the guy, the speaker, our first speaker yesterday, his name? I don't have my notes with me. Do you remember the first speaker who was with the Elgin Health thing? Okay, we're going to talk about this Wednesday. I'll make a note on my hand.
Via recording, this is the April 6th show, and that's, you're just counting some of your March 12th events, is that right?
Yes, I
March
am.
11th.
Thank you for interjecting that.
All right.
Valerie, you got a quick, who would you identify with, because we're running out of time? No?
Valerie's shaking her head.
She's
no.
saving it for another show, she said.
Okay, listen, I have a couple things just to lighten the show up, funny state mottos, and since we have people here from out of state, but we'll start with Illinois. The Illinois state motto is, please don't pronounce the S. Boy. Louisiana, we're not all drunk Cajun wackos, but that's our tourism campaign. Here's one for Mikey, Minnesota, Mikey,
Minnesota.
and Minnesota for Diana, because she went to school there, and Minnesota for you? No.
I've been there.
Okay. 10,000 lakes and 10 trillion mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah.
You think that's true?
Yes, it
And
is.
one more in honor of Sarah, Pennsylvania. Their funny state motto: cook with real coal.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that good? So listen, kids. I always get nervous at the end and I start talking a mile a minute. We'd like to thank everyone for being with us today. My gang, Jeff, Mike, Valerie the Swan. Thanks to our special guest, Diana Ortega-Arez from Youth Leadership Academy. Sarah Burrows, scientist extraordinaire. Two of my Elgin gal pals for coming into the studio to talk with us today. And of course, thank you to all of you loyal listeners. Next week's guest will be author Dale Koppel. Next show, Dale Koppel, Boston area. Her book is called The Smart Woman's Guide, Intelligent Woman's Guide to Internet Dating. We'll see you next Wednesday. Laura Dion-Jones Show. Tune in and find out what we're up to. Don't forget, thank you our sponsors, YMCA, Dr. Clara Leos. Thanks again to Casey for making this show and all of our shows possible. Every day is a new beginning. Thanks for listening. Semper Fi, y'all.
Thank you.